Well, I just want to welcome everybody today to CABQ's first Lunch and Learn. This is a monthly, actually more bi-monthly Lunch and Learn series that we are doing here at the city through Public Service University. My name is Tom Darling. I'm the division manager for Public Service University, and many of you probably taken some of our courses here. And I'm also a member of the Green Team. And today's Lunch and Learn will be with the Green Team, and we'll be talking about how to recycle right. So welcome everybody. I would like to know, for those of you that are broadcasting at a site with more than one person around your machine, or if you have a large screen TV or something, can you just type in the chat box how many people you have at your location watching us today and participating in the webinar? All right, we've got 30 and counting in the press room at the airport. Yay, awesome, welcome everybody. Got 2 over there for solid waste area. Actually, that's next door to me here at 2. Thanks, Dana. Also, if you would, at your site, before everybody leaves today, if you could get everybody to sign in on a sheet, that would be awesome. That way we just have an idea of who came, and we want to keep connected with you all as well through our Lunch and Learn series, and also through what we're doing with the Green Team. That would be great. All righty, so just to let you all know, we are recording this session, so we will have it available for you to be able to watch or stream and to go back to later, and we'll have that available on the PSU YouTube channel. As soon as that's available, we will post that and post a message to it in eWeb. That way you know how to get there and get the link. It's easier than trying to give you a long drawn-out URL right now. So welcome everybody, we're glad to have you here. What we're going to do is we're basically going to, after we get it, do our little intro, what we're going to do is we're going to hand it over to our speaker. We're going to go through our presentation, and then we're going to have a time after the presentation for any questions and answers that questions that you may have, and then we can provide answers and have some discussion. I have asked everybody to mute your microphone just because we have so many people right now. What happens on GoToMeeting and other web chats like this is when you have microphones that are popping up all over, it's really hard to hear. So what we're doing is we're going to use the chat box for the questions. I've got a few people helping field the questions as well as we go through this. So, if you have a question, think about it, write it down. If you want to go ahead and put the question in the chat during the presentation, one of our question fielders here will make sure and note that so that we can refer to it when the presentation is done as well. So we're glad to have you here. This is going to be an exciting day. We're going to talk about recycling. So what is recycling, right? It's putting stuff in the blue bin or the green bin, depending on where you live. Well, it's actually the separation and the collection of materials that otherwise would be considered waste. The process and remanufacturing of these materials into new products, and the use of the recycled products to complete the cycle. That's our official definition that we use. And it turns items like bottles, paper, cans into new products. And so, there's a lot of questions as to, well, what can we recycle? What is recyclable? Can I throw a pizza box? If everything is cardboard, can I just put it in there, every plastic bottle? But then there's questions about, is this really something that should be going in the bin? I know the first time I heard this presentation, I learned an awful lot about what should not be in the bin, and then found out some things that should be in there that I didn't know either. So hopefully what we can do today as we sit down and go through this, you're gonna get some great information about how to recycle right. So our speaker today is Diane Wickler from Solid Waste. Diane, if you would just go ahead and share your camera so everybody can see your face. There she is. Hi,
hello.
Diane.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
Great to have you here. Diane's the marketing manager and a public information officer for the solid waste department. And, we all love solid waste, don't we? Yes,
Yay.
we do. Yeah, solid waste is awesome, especially when, So what we're going to do is Diane's going to take us on this journey today. So Diane, I'm going to turn this over to you. Let me just go ahead and give you the ability to show your screen.
Perfect.
And then we'll get this party started.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom. And we're so excited to have everyone online right now. I think it's great that we have such good access to technology that we can just be listening to this presentation from all around the city. So as Tom said, I am the marketing manager at the solid waste department, and we talk about recycling all day, every day. But I wanted to share, we're here to talk about why we should recycle and recycling right. And I wanted to share a personal story real quick. When I first started recycling, I would consider myself what's called an aspirational recycler. And what that means is someone who really wants to recycle, they're excited about it, they have the drive and passion to recycle, but they might not necessarily have all the tools in their toolbox to know what they should and should not recycle. And so that was me. And I thought, if it has a label, it's recyclable. Look, I'm doing so awesome. I am a recycler. And I meet a lot of people on a weekly basis. We are out in the community all the time talking to people about how to recycle right. And I meet a lot of people who were like me that didn't know things were recyclable or weren't recyclable. As Tom mentioned, one of these things for me was a pizza box. Is a pizza box recyclable? Well, that question is twofold, because if it's a clean pizza box just out of production, that is recyclable. It's clean cardboard. But if it has had the greasy pizza in it, then it's not recyclable. So how many of us have office pizza parties, and then we want to throw our pizza box in the recycling? We can't do that. So there's just a lot of things that you can continually learn about recycling, and we're going to talk about that today. So the question is, why is it important to recycle? And there are a lot of reasons why. One, it reduces the amount of waste that we produce. As I mentioned before, when I first became a recycler, I recycled everything. But now that I understand what you can and cannot recycle, I have effectively reduced the waste that I produce at my home and at the office. Just knowing what can be recycled and what can't be recycled is very helpful to reduce waste. It also greatly reduces the amount of energy consumption that we use. Did you know that whenever you recycle an aluminum can, it saves as much energy as it would take to watch 3 hours of television, and it actually takes 95% less energy to recycle a can than it does to make it. So I think that is a really interesting fact. It also preserves our natural resources, and that is a great thing. When you recycle a 3-foot high stack of newspaper, you can actually save 1 tree. And recycling 1 ton of steel preserves 2 tons of precious materials. So there are a lot of benefits to recycling. It also creates jobs for those that are in the recycling industry, like myself. So what goes in the bin anyway? All of you should have some type of bin, recycling bin in your office. If you don't, that's what our green teams are working on right now. So make sure you find out who your green team representative is and talk to them about it. But what actually goes in the bin? This is a key question. So I want to specifically talk to all of you about what can go in the bin that is in our office and our workplaces, because we as a city are here at our jobs every day and we want to be recycling here. So let's talk about plastics. You can actually recycle some of your hard plastics. So file holders that are made of hard plastic, that is actually recyclable. Your water bottles that you drink from every day, those are recyclable. If you take, I bring yogurt to lunch for lunch every day to work, and that is a recyclable item. In the break room, you might have the Folgers plastic can. That is recyclable as well. There are a lot of things that are recyclable that you wouldn't think of. For example, the cleaning product bottles that may be used to clean the office bathroom, like a toilet bowl cleaner bottle, that is a recyclable item, as well as your soda bottles and those types of things. So all of these things can be recycled right in your office. Paper. Clean white paper is the best thing to recycle, but all types of different paper are recyclable, including newspaper, magazines, file folders, the calendars that we have on our wall that we pull off the little metal spiral device. Those are recyclable. Shredded paper. This is recyclable. There's a key fact that you need to know about shredded paper, and that is it is best to recycle shredded paper in a in a paper bag or a clear plastic bag. And the reason is because we don't want to create extra litter by just throwing our shredded paper in the 96-gallon cart or the 6-yard commercial recycle bin. That tends to fly away when it is being picked up, and that just creates litter, and we don't want to do that. So the easiest thing is to put it in either a paper bag or a clear plastic bag. And then when that goes to the recycling processor, if they see that it's in a clear plastic bag, they can easily remove the plastic bag, and then the paper goes directly into the recycling stream. So I know we can't, everyone can only see me, but if you're in a room with people, raise your hand if you see so much cardboard on a daily basis coming into your office. And this is a very valuable recyclable item. We get packages in cardboard. Some of our paperclip boxes are in cardboard. We have folders that are recyclable that are cardboard. Tissue boxes. All of these things are valuable recyclable materials that it's really important that we take those materials, and instead of putting them into the landfill and into our waste streams, we put them into the recycling bin. Cans and tin. This is another hot commodity in recycling. If you drink a soda a day, recycle that can. If you bring a can of soup with you for lunch, rinse out that can and put it in the recycling. It's very important recyclable material. If you drink, who drinks the sparkling soda water on a daily basis that's in a can? I at least recycle 1 can a day at the office. So one thing I want to talk to you all about that is a little bit different in terms of recycling is you can actually recycle your old office equipment. And this is called e-waste. So any electronic item that can be repurposed or reused. So this can include phones, computers, keyboards, mouses, printers. All of this is recyclable material. Here in the city of Albuquerque, you can take all of your e-waste to our Eagle Rock Convenience Center, and it will be repurposed and recycled. And I know that we probably have quite a bit of e-waste at our different departments. So this is an important fact to know. You can also actually recycle small household items in your recycling cart or bin. This includes toasters and small electronic appliances. You just have to remember to either cut the cords off or wrap the cords around the device, because those are not they're not good for the recycling, but they will remove them at the recycling processing facility. One thing about printer ink cartridges, you can recycle those. And a lot of manufacturers, if you look it up online or if you contact them, will actually take the printer cartridge back. So it takes a little bit of time in terms of sending it back, but this is something that can also be recycled. So a key question that we get asked a lot by residents and businesses in the city of Albuquerque is, what are the things that can actually go in my blue bin or my blue cart? And we created this top 10 in your cart poster earlier this year. And it includes the top 10 items that you really should place in your recycle cart. So that includes, we already talked about cardboard, milk and juice boxes, food boxes, household jugs, junk mail, paper egg cartons, newspaper, aluminum cans, tin cans, and plastic bottles. So those are the, if you can't remember anything else, remember these are the top 10 key items that you should recycle on a daily basis. And recycling is important, but it's not the only thing that is important when we're talking about recycling. Reuse and how you can reuse items is also important. So if you'll notice on this poster, there's a couple things that you can recycle in a different way. And when we're talking about recycling right, we like to mention these as well. Clothing is a key item that a lot of people think, oh, clothing, I can maybe put it in my recycle cart. That is inaccurate. Clothing should not go in the recycle cart, and really it shouldn't go in the trash either. So that's a good thing to repurpose, donate to the Goodwill, go donate to a charity of your choice. And that's something good to reuse that goes back into reuse. Glass, while you can't place that directly into your recycle cart, we do have 17 drop-off sites around the city, and most of them have glass recycling as well. So that's a key thing. At my home, I just have a separate bucket for glass, and then I take it to a drop-off site to recycle. And it's fairly easy because you can probably find one that you can drive by on your way home from work or to work. So that's very helpful as well. Plastic bags. Plastic bags should not go in your recycling cart, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But you can take your plastic bags to your local grocery store. And most grocery stores within the city of Albuquerque, Whole Foods, Smith's, Trader Joe's, Sprouts, they all have places at the end of the checkout line where you can recycle your plastic bags. Also to mention, just want to mention that this resource is available on the solid waste, the city's solid waste website, and it's under our recycling resources page. So you can download it, you can print it out. It's easily accessible. This is another resource that we have. This is actually a magnet. So this could go in your office break room or even at your home. And we have these magnets available. So if you contact me or your green team representative, we can make sure and get you some of these magnets. I think the people listening from the airport have some there, so that's really great. So just let us know this is a resource for you. And this tells you everything that is recyclable and that isn't recyclable, and it's in English and Spanish. So what should you not recycle? This is a significant thing to know. Actually, the city of Albuquerque has seen records amount of trash and non-recyclable material going into our recycling stream. And in fact, 29% of that material that goes into our recycling stream is not recyclable or is trash. So this is why our main message right now, not only to city departments, but to the general public, is how can we recycle right? How can we recycle cleaner? And here are a few things that you shouldn't put in your recycling to be able to do that. So a huge misconception about recycling is that I can bag my recyclables and then I can put them in the recycling cart. This actually causes what we call contamination. And if you bag your recyclables, when they get to the recycling processor, those plastic bags get caught into the recycling machinery and actually slow down production and really cost a lot of time and money for those that are processing the recycling. And so they just aren't good to put in your recycling. Another part of that, as I had mentioned previously, is grocery bags. Grocery bags, same thing. They will clog recycling machinery and they aren't good to put in your recycling. But again, you can recycle your plastic bags at your local grocery store. Grocery bags, and if you have like a plastic, just empty plastic trash bag, that is acceptable as well. Food and liquids, they really should not go in your recycling cart. I like to tell people that, you know, it's doing a full rinse of things that you're recycling is preferable. If there's a small amount of food waste, that's not the end of the world, but it is helpful to rinse out your recyclables. For example, like your yogurt cup or your cleaning product bottle, it is helpful. Another item is what we call tanglers. So anything that is a hose, a rope, a wire, anything that in your mind would wrap around something, that should not be recycled, because that goes into, again, the recycling processing facility, and it clogs and wraps around machinery, and it really just slows down the overall process for recycling. Some other things, we don't probably have in our offices a lot of yard waste, but if you are, everyone is a resident in Albuquerque, so that's helpful to know. Yard waste cannot be put in your recycling cart. Some other things that we consider household hazardous waste, but we might also see in our office buildings, is paint and fluorescent light bulbs. Other large items like wood and any type of gas cylinder, these are not recyclable in your blue cart. While these are not recyclable, I do want to take a minute to talk about what we call hazardous waste, because we've received a lot of questions, which is good, from city departments recently. Can I recycle my batteries? What do I do with leftover paint? So there are a couple of resources that are available for you. One is a company called ACT. They are actually located in Albuquerque, right down the road from the solid waste department. And they take any type of household hazardous waste year round. You can look up their hours on our website. You can also Google them. And you can deposit your hazardous waste actually free of charge. So there is not a charge for that, which is great. In addition to that, we actually host, together with a few other city departments, we host a household hazardous waste collection event twice a year. We do this in the fall and in the spring. So our next one will be in the spring in April. So one thing that I think a lot of people do is they kind of store up those batteries that they have or extra hazardous items that they have, and then they bring them to those events. But really, ACT is open year round. Batteries is a huge question. Cell phone batteries, just the normal batteries that you put in your mouse that you're using at your computer desk. There's a second resource in addition to ACT called Call to Recycle, and you can recycle any of your batteries through this program. And actually the locations that are, you can look up on their website, calltorecycle.org, but the locations that, there are locations in Albuquerque that participate in this program, and several Lowe's and Home Depots, actually I think all Lowe's and Home Depots within Albuquerque participate. So it's easy, you just take your batteries there, you drop them off, and you can recycle them. So those are some resources for you if you have those questions. So a couple of things you will want to remember in talking about recycling rights that I've already mentioned, but I just want to reiterate. Do not bag your recyclables. I cannot say this enough. Don't put your recyclables in bags. This is one of our #1 contaminants in the recycling stream are plastic bags, and it really costs everyone. It costs recycling processing, and it really is just not good for the process of recycling. Flatten your boxes. This makes it easier to put them in the recycle bin, and it makes it easier for when recycling is being collected. It also helps so you can actually fit more in your recycle bin or cart if you flatten your boxes. I already mentioned rinsing bottles and containers. Again, not 100% necessary, but to recycle the cleanest way possible, that is something that is important. And then if you are recycling small appliances, you want to make sure and wrap the cords around them or cut them off. Something that is really awesome is that our department at Solid Waste, we're utilizing technology to make sure you can recycle right and recycle better. And Recycle Coach is an app that you can download at your favorite app store. You can also find the Recycle Coach app within the 1ABQ app. So if you have the 1ABQ app, there is a link to it in there as well. And Recycle Coach is a huge tool to be able to understand what you can recycle and can't recycle, and it's localized. All you have to do is put in your address, and you can get collection reminders if you recycle here in Albuquerque residentially. There are recycle quizzes, important updates. So if we're having an event or if there's some type of update that we need to share with people in Albuquerque, you can get messages and alerts through that app. And it's also a search engine. So for example, if you've ever wondered if a chip bag is recyclable, you can go in and you can type chip bag and it will come up with, actually no, a chip bag is not recyclable. So there are a lot of questions that you can ask. I use it every day, and there are still questions that I have that I type in Recycle Coach. Is this recyclable? This is also works with Amazon Alexa and Google, and so you can use your voice activated devices with this as well if you have those at home. So that is kind of a top level overview of how you should recycle and recycle right. So I think we will turn it over back to Tom and any questions. Also, this is my contact information. So if you have a recycling question or you want to connect with us, you can just email me or give me a call. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Diane, so much for that presentation. It was really, it's kind of eye-opening sometimes. I want to leave your screen up there
Okay.
with your contact information on it so that people can see it while we're going through questions. Yeah, I think we all have this assumption that, we think we know what's recyclable, but sometimes we don't. We do have a couple questions that I want to jump into right here. The first one, let's get it up here. First one comes from Mary, and she asks or states, drop-off sites for glass are not good for people who walk or use mass transit. When will we get curbside glass pickup that is available in practically every other city? So do you have any information on that?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Mary, and that is a question that we get almost daily. We are not moving towards that currently. It is actually a lot more complicated than people would think to recycle glass at your curbside. So I don't have a great answer for you, unfortunately, but I think it's a good thought, and I think that's something that is, it's a constant conversation that we have at the solid waste department, because it is a key question that we get asked by residents.
Great, thank you for asking that question, Mary. All right, this one comes from Fabian. Is it okay to recycle empty oil containers that have the recycle triangle on them? I lost you, Diane.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
That is a great question. You want to make sure that those containers are as clean as possible, but those are recyclable if they are clean, if that makes sense.
Great. Yeah, that's the tough part is cleaning them out. But it's interesting because I think a lot of people might not realize that on a lot of plastic bottles, including even milk containers, the symbol is on there. If you just, we just have to look for it, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a
Yeah.
triangle symbol.
And it is, and it just depends too, because there are a lot of things that have symbols. There are some things that have symbols that aren't recyclable. For example, styrofoam. You'll see on all styrofoam takeout containers a recycle symbol, when in actuality styrofoam is at least in our recycling stream here in Albuquerque is not recyclable. So one thing that is good is to pivot back to that list that we have, or the magnet that talks about what is and isn't recyclable, and even those top 10 items. If you get those, I mean, you're doing really well in terms of recycling.
Great. So there's another one here. What about fluorescent light bulbs?
So fluorescent light bulbs should not be put in your recycling bin. They really shouldn't even be put in the trash. You really need to take those to the hazardous waste center. That's really a key way to dispose of fluorescent light bulbs would be to take them there.
Great. So here's a good one. Can we recycle DVD cases? The library discards a lot of them. What about CD cases, jewel cases? There are different degrees of rigid or semi-rigid rigid plastic. What about that?
I believe those materials are recyclable.
Okay, great. What about thermal paper? We have registers at all of our registers at all of our pool sites. That one comes from Margaret Portillo.
You know what, Margaret? I am going to have to get back to you on that question. My first thought is yes, but thermal paper does have that waxy, it's kind of waxy. So I can get back to you on that question.
Got a question from EHD. What about aerosol cans?
So aerosol cans are not recyclable. That is something that would need to be taken to a hazardous waste center. And one of the main reasons, this is a conversation in recycling circles, because some cities do take aerosol cans, but anything that is combustible, when it is put into a recycling truck and that gets compacted, that could be unsafe for drivers and residents. So our message to the community is those aerosol cans need to be taken to a hazardous waste center.
Great. So Isabel has a question. I know we don't recycle television sets, but where would someone take one when they're no longer needed? I have one that's I got to get rid of too.
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
We know we don't recycle television sets, but where would somebody take a CRT TV, not a flat screen, or even maybe a flat screen, but like an old television?
Yeah. So televisions, the solid waste department has large item pickup, which I have used that before. It's super easy. You just call 311, you schedule a large item pickup, and they will pick up the TV if we're talking about residentially. And it's super easy. I made my husband get rid of the 80s television that he had, and they just come pick it up, and it's easy as that.
Great, that's awesome. So a couple more soup boxes, like paper, Trader Joe's soup box, and then register receipts. I'm assuming those are all recyclable since they're paper. Is that correct?
Yeah. So soup boxes, those are recyclable. On the thermal paper, that is actually not recyclable. And just going back to the previous questions as well, DVD cases, I believe, are recyclable. CD cases are not recyclable. So those are all things too that you can ask Recycle Coach or type in Recycle Coach, and you'll get the answer as well.
That's great. It's good to know that the recycle coach has got that intelligence built into it to be able to help us with that. This is a good question. Is there a charge for large item pickup?
No, there is not a charge for large item pickup. 2 times a year, you can do that for free.
Great. Okay, are there any more questions? Those are awesome questions, by the way. Oh, here we have another one just popped in. For items that need to go to hazmat sites, will the city be organizing departments or department drop-offs? That's a good question.
Yeah, actually, that is a great question. And, I think maybe that's something the green team should talk about, because I had that thought whenever I was talking about hazardous waste. So I think we could talk about that as green team.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, so for those of you who are wondering about this green team, so every department has a member of the green team, and part of our goal is to be able to find ways to build sustainability and resiliency within the city, particularly with the way that we recycle, obviously, but the way that we procure, the way we buy, the way we make choices that we make, the way we purchase equipment or the way we use equipment, from solar power to the way we use our vehicles to what type of vehicles we use. Part of what the green team's purpose is to be able to find ways to innovate and improve on making the city more sustainably responsible. And so this first webinar that we're doing right now about recycling, one thing that some of you may not know is that we had this huge drive that by this month that we would have recycling available to every single department and office in the city of Albuquerque. So first levels, we need to make sure that every office, every building, every department has the ability to start recycling. And so this is cool because we were able to do that. Now, level 2 is to make sure that we are all recycling and finding better ways to do this. And the questions that you all are asking are wonderful because, we just don't think about it, but we handle so much paper. We handle so many things that come through here that we could obviously be better stewards of recycling and reusing. And so this is one of the things we want to do. So as the green team, each month, different members of the team from different departments are also working on projects that are sustainable or build resiliency within the city. And so this idea of having, a city drop-off for hazardous waste is a perfect example of a project that the green team could work on. And so, yes, Mary, I promise you that it will happen. It will happen soon. Probably within the next couple months, I think we can probably schedule that and make that happen. So, hey, I've got it. If there's no more questions, nope, looks like there's another couple questions here. Hold on just a second. Does the BPA bisphenol A contaminate all the non-BPA items when being processed for recycling? Is that something that you can answer, Diane?
Can you say that question again?
Does BPA, which is bisphenol, did I say that right, Margaret? Bisphenol A contaminate all the non-BPA items when it's being processed for recycling? I'm not sure what BPA is. Do you know what that is, Fabian? Okay.
Yeah, I understand the question, what she's saying.
Okay.
Do BPA items contaminate non-BPA items? Yeah. So usually not. Sorry, I'm getting information from my expert over here because I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, good.
So usually not. But if it's recycled together, yeah, usually not.
Okay. How about Margaret? We we get you the right answer to that
We could,
question
yeah,
offline, we can do
yeah,
that.
we can take that offline and give you a more clear answer.
That'd be great.
Margaret's asking all the tough questions. I
Oh, that's
like
good.
it.
Yeah, I know. It's great. It's great participation. So, yeah, yes, thank you. So it's kind of cool, right? I've got a couple facts right here that I want to share. That's kind of cool regarding to recycling. I see the look on your face there. That's kind of fun, Diane. Listen to this. This is amazing. Every American recycles or makes, not recycles, makes about 4 pounds of garbage each day. That's crazy. And every month, Americans throw away enough glass bottles and jars to fill up an entire skyscraper like the Empire State Building, just to give perspective of how much glass we throw away. Recycling one aluminum can saves enough energy, right, by not throwing it away, to run a TV for 3 hours. That's crazy. Recycling 1 ton, approximately 2,000 pounds of paper, saves 17 trees, 2 barrels of oil, which is enough to run an average car for 1,260 miles, 4,100 kilowatts of energy, which is enough power to power an average home for 6 months, and 3.2 cubic yards of landfill, and 60 pounds of pollution. Yeah, that's 2,000 pounds of recycling. You know, one of the things I know that for me that was really an eye-opener for me was not realizing that when we recycle in the bin and we separate these things out, because, you know, obviously sometimes, first off, you got to get somebody even interested in recycling. And then after they're interested in recycling, you got to make sure they're doing it right, which is why we're doing this today. But I did not realize that when everything goes in the bin and then it goes in the truck and then it goes to the recycling center, they actually have people that have to stand there and sort out all the contamination from the recycling. And because our contamination in this country has been so bad, which is what we've learned recently, is a lot of other countries aren't purchasing our recycling anymore because our contamination is so high. And not only are we contaminating our recycling, but then our own solid waste department has got to go back to the recycling center after they separated all the contamination out, and we have to pay money and resources and time and fuel and manpower to go back and take all of that trash that has been sorted out of the recycling back to the landfill anyway. And so, which has made recycling a little pricey, and it's not that it's not valuable and not great. It's just that we need to do a better job of, I mean, the best place to make the best, most least contaminated recycling is at the bin. And that falls on all of us. And so we want all of you, and we want, as we are in the same place, we want everybody to be able to know what can I recycle and what I can't. And if you don't know the question, you can obviously ask us. And now we got this app, Recycle Coach, which is awesome because you can ask the app. And it'll help us to be really smarter and better about recycling. So if there's no other questions, it looks like we're good. Diane, I just want to thank you so much for the work that you all are doing at Solid Waste and the time that you took to put this presentation together and be willing to share this as part of this Lunch and Learn. Thank you so much. Really, really so glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. And again, if anyone has any questions, they can always contact us, and we're happy to answer or find out the answer if we don't know it.
That's awesome. Thanks, Diane. So Diane's contact number is still on the screen there. Please feel free to contact her regarding recycling. We're going to have some more information coming out. Also, if you want a magnet, oh yes, thank you. If you want a magnet, please let Diane know, and we will make sure that you all get them. They're cool, and your kids need to see them on the fridge. It's really great. Next month's one of the Lunch and Learns next month is going to be Recycling 2. This is Recycling 1. So stick around. There's a whole other presentation coming that talks more in depth about some of the recycling efforts we're doing. So, and we will get that information out through eWeb. It'll come through email. Look for information from the green team. And we look forward to being able to do this. We would love to come and talk to you live at your site and broadcast it out as we do these different lunch and learns. We're going to be having green lunch and learns and then lunch and learns on other topics as well. But keep your eyes open for next month's Green Team Lunch and Learn. It's going to be really, really, really great. Appreciate you all being here. Really, really enjoyed the time with you. And if there's no other questions, we will see you next month.